While I always talk about focusing mainly on the big compound lifts that give you the best bang for your buck, I also preach avoiding several specific movements that wreak havoc on your body. If you want to be able to effectively stimulate your muscles and grow them while keeping the results for life without experiencing achy joints, debilitating pain, or frustrating muscle wasting injuries, then there are 10 exercises you must stop doing. The following exercises should be avoided for a few reasons. The movement patterns are unnatural, they place massive stress on your joints, and there are simply more effective alternatives that hit your muscles better. Now, I'm not saying you won't be able to get away with doing any of the exercises on this list, but rather that the risk is not worth the reward. Even in the best case scenario, you may not end up injured or hurt, but you'll still cause less muscle stimulation while creating systemic fatigue, which will limit how much volume you can perform. By the way, exercise number 10 is going to surprise you and could change the way you do one of the best exercises out there, so make sure you stay till the end. Now, without further ado, here are the top 10 worst exercises you must avoid. Exercise number 1, standing dumbbell pec fly. The first exercise is going to require a quick lesson on one of Newton's laws, gravity. You've probably seen gym bros, even so-called fitness experts, performing this exercise. And because the function of the chest is to bring the arms across the body, the standing dumbbell fly appears to be a reasonably effective exercise. That is, however, until you look a bit deeper. You see, gravity pushes down, so your muscles have to exert force to keep the dumbbells up. The muscle responsible for this function during this exercise is actually the anterior deltoid. All you're really doing when you perform the standing dumbbell fly is isometrically contracting your delts. If you actually want to hit your chest effectively, you have to work against gravity. This is why I recommend sticking with cables. If you want to emphasize the upper chest, simply set the cable pulley to the bottom and bring them up. If you want to emphasize the lower portion of the chest, you'd simply set the cable pulley high and bring them down. And if you don't have access to cables, a traditional lying dumbbell fly will do. Exercise number 2, barbell upright row. The upright row is a solid exercise to activate the middle deltoid. By abducting or raising your arm to the side while also slightly internally rotating your shoulder, you're placing a good deal of tension on the mid delts. Unfortunately, this is the exact movement pattern that can cause serious harm to your shoulder joint. When testing for shoulder impingement, a physical therapist may even put your arms in the upright row position because it's the exact position causing shoulder impingement. While it may be possible to get away with performing this exercise as a teen, as an adult, the inflammation and resulting pain could be debilitating. This is why I recommend you do a modified upright row using a rope attachment at a cable column instead. According to research by hypertrophy specialist Dr. Brad Schoenfeld, the upright row has its benefits for activating the middle deltoid and traps, but puts you at risk of injury if done the conventional way. There are a few tweaks that you can make to avoid injury as well as increase muscle activation in the mid delts. Number 1, stop lifting at shoulder height. Studies show most impingement happens above this height. Number 2, fix your positioning. Position the handles close to you and at a comfortable angle using a rope. If you use a barbell, your wrist and arms are essentially in a fixed position. Use a rope so that you have a freer range of motion. Number 3, lift using the elbows. This will actually target the middle deltoid more than the biceps. And number 4, use a wider grip. Studies show that the middle deltoid muscle activation is greater if you use a wider grip. With all that being said, if you want to eliminate risk completely, stick to lateral raise variations that don't involve internal rotation. Exercise number 3, behind the neck lat pull down. Almost everyone watching this video has tried the behind the neck lat pull down at some point. If you're anything like me and ditched this exercise due to discomfort, you made a wise decision. As reported by Dr. Brad Schoenfeld, this lat pull down variation is dangerous on two levels. For one, it places a great deal of stress on the shoulder capsule, which can cause damage to surrounding connective tissue. And second, there is a tendency to pull the neck forward during the exercise, increasing the prospect of injury to the cervical spine and corresponding muscles and ligaments. According to one study published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research, behind the neck lat pull downs are no better for your lats than the much safer traditional lat pull down. They concluded that, considering the main objectives of the lat pull down, the traditional in front of the body variation is the better choice, whereas the behind the neck variation is not a good lat pull down technique and should be avoided. So no, behind the neck lat pull downs are not better, and although they do show a bit more activation in the biceps and shoulders, there are safer ways to stimulate these muscles. Moral of the story, stick to the traditional in front of the body lat pull down. Exercise number 4, behind the neck shoulder press. This is by far one of the worst exercises you can perform when it comes to the health of your shoulders. The exercise places the shoulder joint in a position where it's both abducted and externally rotated, a recipe for shoulder impingement. Not only that, but this unnatural position could lead to a strain or even tear of the associated muscles and tendons. If that wasn't enough, it also overly stretches the shoulder joint ligaments. Over time, this could lead to damage so bad that it'll require surgery to reinstate stability. This is why I recommend staying far away from this exercise and sticking to the traditional overhead press instead. Exercise number 5, kipping pull-up. I wish I didn't have to include this one, but unfortunately, this pull-up variation has become far too common. Look around the gym and you'll see guys ego lifting with all kinds of exercises, but few are as hard to watch as the kipping pull-up. There's nothing that will accelerate your back growth and strength like a proper pull-up with a full range of motion. Research by Pinto and colleagues compared groups using a full range of motion for their exercises versus a partial range of motion. The results were pretty clear. The full range of motion group gained significantly more strength and muscle mass than the partial range of motion group. So if you want to get the most out of a pull-up, focus on doing it with proper form. If you're not strong enough to do at least 6 to 8 pull-ups with your own body weight, start with assisted pull-ups or lat pull-downs to build up your pull-up strength. Exercise number 6, stability ball chest press. One study published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research compared doing chest presses on a Swiss ball versus on a bench. The unstable group experienced 59.6 less force output. If your muscles produce less force, there's likely less tension on the muscles. And of course, it's going to be extremely difficult to maximize strength gains. If you want to work your stabilizer muscles or your core, you can do so with targeted exercises. And although unstable surface training may help train your core and stabilizer muscles, it will do so at the expense of the muscle you're aiming to train. If your goal is to build your chest while also strengthening your core and stabilizer muscles, heavy bench pressing on a stable surface is your best bet. Exercise number 7, rolling shrugs. Rolling your shoulders during a shrug is not only going to place less tension on the target muscle, but can also increase the risk of injury. The upper traps have the primary function of scapular elevation, so if you want to target them, it would make sense to perform a standard barbell shrug. The only thing rolling the shoulders will provide is more fatigue, less trap stimulation, and possibly some new aches and pains. If you want to take the standard barbell shrug and make it a little more effective, use a wider grip, lean slightly forward, and keep your shoulders pinched back throughout the movement. Exercise number 8, half squats. A brand new 2020 study compared squatting at different levels. squatting with a full range of motion, squatting to parallel, and half squatting. At the conclusion of the study, the full range of motion group got the best results, followed by the group squatting to parallel. Funny enough, the half squat group didn't improve at all, but they did experience significantly more pain, stiffness, and discomfort. It's not too surprising why. When you stop mid-range and change the direction of the squat, the force doesn't get properly transferred. Instead, the stress goes straight to the knees. Long story short, establish proper technique and mobility and use a full range of motion, especially on the squat. Exercise number 9. Good mornings. These days, it's not likely you'll see many people performing this exercise, but in most cases, it's actually a great hamstring builder. In fact, it's very much like a Romanian deadlift. You hip hinge and activate your hamstrings and glutes. The problem is, most guys just aren't capable of doing it safely. With the sedentary lifestyles and desk work that most of us have, we're prone to a tight chest and a weak upper back. Thus, it's going to be pretty tough to maintain proper thoracic extension. This could cause upper back rounding during the good morning, increasing the risk of herniating a disc. So although this could be a solid exercise, I believe most people are better off sticking to a Romanian deadlift instead. Not only is it just as effective for building the hamstrings, but it's also far safer and much easier to load. Exercise number 10. Smith machine bench press. The Smith machine locks the bar into a vertical plane. That means you can only push up and down. But that implies you're either going to press up and down with your elbows flared, or you're going to be leaking force by pushing into the bar at an angle. The actual way to do a bench press is by slightly tucking your elbows and pushing up and back off of your chest. This isn't possible with a Smith machine. This was confirmed by a 2010 study that compared lifters using a bench press and a Smith machine. Not only was there no added benefit to bench pressing on a Smith machine, but other muscles like the deltoids were worked far less. That said, if you want to get the best bang for your buck, stick to bench pressing with free weights. Not only is it a more natural movement pattern, but it produces greater overall muscle and strength gains. So, there you have it, the top 10 worst exercises you must avoid. Now obviously this list could have been much longer, but for the sake of the video, we kept it short. If there's one exercise you could add to this list, what would it be? Let me know in the comment section below. Did you find this video helpful? If so, click the like button below as it'll truly help out the channel. Also, if your training and nutrition are in order and you're looking for a bit of an edge, be sure to check out my science-based supplement line. Each product was created using scientifically proven ingredients, all clinically dosed and guaranteed to produce results. If you want to learn more, head over to musclemonsters.com/supplements or click the link in the description below. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe for more videos and don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss the next one. Peace.